Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and we've got another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video today. And we got just a ton of news dropped on us. Expect videos for the next few days leading into the weekend, probably, just because how busy my schedule has been recently. But today, guys, we have to talk about Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. We got the kit reveal for them. They are going to be a conquest character. They kind of let us know that in advance. So unless you were living under a rock, we probably already knew that. So the big thing is they are dark side, obviously. Their tags are Tank, Leader, Empire, and Imperial Remnant. Now, with all characters that come out of Conquest, well, at least with most of them, you can argue that a few of them have kind of missed the mark, or maybe not super influential. There's certainly varying degrees, but almost all of them are usable. Almost all of them range to like very good. They are really, really good characters. So this being a conquest character, meaning I think this is also going to be a very good character. So I won't read too much into the inspiration or strategy tips. One thing that they do kind of point out is that in territory wars, he's going to thrive leading Imperial Remnant. And then in Grand Arena, we know that Iden with her Omicron likes to use some of those troopers. So like maybe a Mandalorian synergy. I also think that there might be potentially another Mandalorian faction or like another character coming from this time frame. It seems like a lot of the indications are pointing towards we're heading into this direction. So maybe that's where we're going. I don't know. But yeah, there's certainly some things in there that kind of catch my eyes towards that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get down to the leadership. I always kind of like to start there first because it's important to see, is it worth it? Who does he replace kind of thing? Okay, so his leader is Shadow Contingency. It's a Zeta. And the final text reads that non-droid Imperial Remnant allies have 75% crit chance, crit damage, defense, and offense. If all Imperial Remnant if all allies are Imperial Remnant at the start of the battle, whenever an ally gains or loses bonus turn meter or a bonus turn, they recover that much health and protection. Biggest question here is, does bonus turn count as 100%? I would think so, but I just want to make sure because that's a lot of health and protection to recover, based off of that. This also plays into Moff Gideon's, the mini Moff Gideon, if you will. His ability where he can kind of take advantage, I think, or something like that. I forgot what it's called. So there's definitely a lot of ways that you're going to be able to recover health and protection. Another way is whenever enemies gain bonus turn meter or bonus turn, they lose 10% defense, offense, and turn meter until the next turn. Now, again, how I understand this, bonus turn is different than gaining 100% turn meter, but in practice, it's mostly the same. There's just some rules that you can't prevent a bonus turn, etc., etc. However, I believe the rules still read the same. I could be wrong on this though. So for instance, Grievous has, when you kill one of his allies, as long as it's a droid, he's going to gain a bonus turn. Now, the way that I can read this right now, again, based off of operations and how this is going to read in the actual kit, I would think he's going to gain a bonus turn, which is effectively like gaining a 100% turn meter that's not 100% turn meter because we have those clauses as well. It's a guaranteed next turn kind of thing. But I also think that with a bonus turn, you could, this is happening, you could actually reduce them back down to 10% turn meter. So they would be like at an effective 90% turn meter. Again, I could be wrong on that, but it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out because I'm not quite sure, quite frankly. So we'll see when that comes out. Whenever Dark Trooper Moff Gideon uses a special ability, all allies gain 10% offense and defense, stacking until the end of the counter. It's pretty crazy because there's a ton of special abilities that you're going to use. It's just the way that the AI even plays it. They basically just spam specials. So that's crazy, especially since they're not capping it. I mean, by the time that you can let's just put it this way. By the time you've already seized advantage with Moff Gideon, the junior one, you're going to have at least 50% offense and defense. It's actually going to be 60% because Moff Gideon is going to take his turn. He'll reduce everyone down, give everyone 25% turn meter, and then you'll have your 5 characters on your squad that are going to be able to take a special ability. And so again, that's going to be, 60% offense and defense just to start off on the battle. So quite crazy, actually. Okay, so whenever Dark Trooper Moff Gideon begins his turn, all allied Moff Gideons gain 1 stack of insight until the end of the encounter. We'll get into insight a little bit. There's not too much of it to like glean from. It right here just says abilities gain additional effects based on the number of stacks. I'm assuming it's some sort of the blue status effects that we get. The first time each other ally is defeated, each encounter, Imperial Remnants gain 100% turn meter. And then here's the Omicron part. While in Territory Wars, non-droid Imperial Remnant allies have plus 75% health and mastery and plus 30 speed. Whenever an Imperial Remnant ally taunts, dispel all debuffs from all allies and all buffs from all enemies. So it's like a double cleanse kind of thing. And whenever an Imperial Remnant ally is revived, grant them a bonus turn. So yeah, very interesting. I think I forgot to mention too, it's a Territory Wars character, but again, they kind of want it to be good in many different, facets. I know everyone's probably booing at the Territory Wars, but I love it. So yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead now and let's just talk through the basic, right? So deal physical damage to the target enemy. You gain 1 stack of insight for a max of 4 until the end of the encounter. And if the target had daze, offense down, or stagger, stun them for 1 turn. This attack deals 10% more damage for each debuff on the target enemy. So a decent amount of stacking right there that could happen, right? If you have, some of your Imperial troopers, they can kind of spit out some debuffs as well. Final text: deal physical damage to all enemies and remove 10% turn meter for each stack of insight. So at a max, you could remove 40% turn meter, which cannot be evaded. Moff Gideon loses all stacks of insight when you use this. This is on a cooldown of 3. While in Territory Wars, deal additional true damage and remove an additional 10% turn meter for each stack of insight on Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. You're going to inflict all enemies with heal immunity for 2 turns, which can't be resisted or dispelled. This sounds okay, honestly. This sounds like one of those ones that you would skip. I know true damage is a real thing. I know that, turn meter is a real thing. And I know that healing immunity is a real thing. That being said, though, I just don't know if that's worth an Omicron, quite frankly. There's probably really good use cases for it, but with the current Omicron crisis that we're in, that one feels like one that we could probably skip out on. Special 2, Unwavering Presence. It's a Zeta and it's a cooldown of 4. Now, all allies are going to get accuracy up and defense up for 3 turns. Interesting call on the accuracy up. I don't quite know what that's for. It's a very kind of rare buff, honestly. There's just not a ton of evasion. And so I don't know if this is supposed to be like just with Veer's lead, there was always, or Veer's unique, I should say, there was always the, whenever you gain, a buff, you get some turn meter. There's nothing like that here unless we are supposed to use maybe Veer's as a support character rather than his lead. So I don't know what the accuracy up and defense up does. The defense up is just nice, I guess, for Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon from this ability will taunt for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled or prevented, so it's a locked buff. He's going to recover 30% health and protection, and calls a target other ally to assist. So this is where you get to select someone, right? That's a pretty handy ability. If Dark Trooper Moff Gideon is in the leader slot, defeated Imperial Remnant allies are revived with 100% health and protection and stealth for 2 turns. Remember, again, based off of the Omicron, right? If they're revived, they're going to gain a bonus turn. So that's pretty cool. And then here's an interesting part, right? This is where things kind of get interesting. Otherwise, defeated Darkside Mandalorian allies are revived with 30% health and protection and gain retribution for 2 turns. So this is kind of where they're talking about Mandalorians. I also could see someone in my Discord said, you know, this is kind of an interesting call out for potentially, you know, he is an Empire character. You know, we obviously don't know exactly what he's supposed to be doing, but there's a potential for him to be in Lord Vader, right? So he would be able to revive, Maul again, which would be interesting, of course. So I don't know. There's some potential there for some theory crafting. All right, unique one is a Zeta and also an Omicron. Its final text reads that Dark Trooper Moff Gideon has 100% crit avoid, plus 50% defense, and 30% max health and protection. At the start or at the end of his turn, he recovers 30% protection, which is a big portion, right? If I had to guess, we're going to protection load him. Whenever Dark Trooper Moff Gideon would be defeated, if he has 4 more stacks of insights, he recovers 100% health, loses all stacks of insight, and the weakest non-galactic legend ally is defeated instead. So whoever's your weakest, they would basically do like a sacrifice for long live the Empire. And so yeah, it's a very interesting concept here as well. You know, it almost makes you think if there's ever a chance that you would use this ability that you wouldn't, but you know, who's to say, right? Okay. Now, we've already talked about that. If the allied leader is a Darkside Mandalorian, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon gains 25% offense, right? And then we all know that that's, you know, it feels like they're building towards another squad. For me, that's what it feels like, but I could be wrong. But Darkside Mandalorian allies recover 20% protection at the end of their turn. While in Territory Wars, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon gains an additional 30% max protection and recovers 100% protection on his first turn. So all that damage they basically did to him, as long as it didn't scratch his health, would all be basically reversed, which is pretty crazy. He's going to begin the battle with Taunt for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled or prevented. Again, a locked one. And 4 stacks of Insight. So he's already primed and ready to remove, 40% turn meter and an additional 40% turn meter if you've got that Omicron. So this one sounds a lot better. Obviously, like I said, I don't know if I'd have that extra 40% turn meter just because I don't know if that one's necessarily going to be worth it. But whenever he receives damage, he gains a stack of Insight for a max of 4 until the end of the encounter. Okay, so yeah, that goes through the kit, guys. So, like I said, some interesting stuff. I do think that obviously we're going to find something with the troopers right now. They're kind of hurting, in all honesty. There's just not too much out there, especially, and maybe some of it's because of the thick cron. I think there's a little bit more use case for them in 3v3, but I think right now they're just having troubles because of defense. It kind of really nerfs down what Dark Trooper can do. Now you could always bring in an armor pen to help him with our current Datacron set. There was a new one release out and defense is on that one as well. So gonna be hard, I think, to find places for troopers. Dark Trooper shouldn't be on this team, but again, it's just one of those things where troopers have had a little bit of a harder time in recent months just because the other factions and kits have gone so crazy. I mean, you talk about Malicos, you talk about Seer, all that bulk on top of our bulk crons, on top of, the defense that we can stack on them. It's getting pretty crazy. And for a team that, with troopers, they really counted on getting that first kill and being able to TM train everyone. Just hasn't really been their thing for a while. So I'm hoping Moff Gideon brings in a new light. The Mandalorian thing sounds interesting. I feel like maybe there's a lead up for something else. I don't quite know. I know we also got some kit touch-ups on GAR and, the ISC. Again, we'll probably go through some of these other things in other videos. Just wanted to show you guys the new kit that Moff Gideon has. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I know it was a little bit longer of one, but I appreciate all you guys' support, and we'll see you guys in the next one.